by Odin's beard and juicy lips.
Welcome back to Toy Lips, friends. And I have the real figure right here, but this is a legit figure swap that I just ran into my first time almost finding this figure in the wild. I purchased these, I pre-ordered these online. And to clear up the confusion, we are here today to review the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, Marvel Studios, Thor Love and Thunder, Thor in this sweet, colorful armor. Last week I ran into this on the shelf at Walmart. This is actually the first Avengers movie Thor from 2011, and in fact it's the Walmart exclusive. Funny enough that somebody stuffed back in the package for this figure and returned, even with somebody else's hand, a random hand, because they took this hand. But it's absolutely this. You can see where they've cut the tape and simply reapplied a piece of tape. Brazen. I don't have this one, so it seems to be in good repair, and I'll have that for like a third of the price, at least half the price, conservatively, that it's going for. Wild, I know, and I don't otherwise mean to be here so long, but seriously, look at that. It's the same plastic tray. Somebody just bought this, took it home, stuffed this super old school Thor in here, just upgraded their collection. We'll get into this other dude too. How about a shout out to the friends at Hood River Walmart? Anyway, Marvel Legends figure, you guys know the score. You're going to have this same piece of promotional artwork looking nice and sharp on both sides and the back, where you will also find a read-up, as well as a breakdown of the rest of the figures in the wave, customer service contact information for countries all over the world, and a big fancy barcode, as well as this cracked Mjolnir on the top. Poor little box. Let's get into it. Hark! The contents of the package appear thusly. Taking a closer look at the figure, this is Thor Odin's son. He is the Norse god of thunder. This is who the Vikings worshipped. They would go on to put down stories about these gods. Those stories would later be adapted into the Marvel comic books, and those comic books would be adapted into movies, and here we are today, with the impending release of the 4th Thor movie. Looking great in those trailers. It is a larger figure. It is nicely sculpted. But the gold is just plastic, and I think there being so much of it, it leaves the overall figure looking a little blah. The sculpted detail is nice, though. This helmet is a separate overlay, however it is glued down. Mine might be just a little bit off, you can kind of see by the eyes, which are detailed inside of there, and that one looks pretty nice. The helmet is just as well, as they've never quite been able to nail down that Chris Hemsworth likeness. So the little bit of beard here, and the hair flowing out the back is nice. There's a little bit of a dry brush, another lighter color over the top of that. Speaking of, that flows over this cape, which is not removable. It's attached right here on the chest. However, it is that newer, softer, lighter, sort of taffy-like material that's pretty nice for capes, if you're not going to go the soft goods route. Down the figure here, at the shoulders, you have these nice soft pads, and these are attached to the upper part of the armor. So they're not going to interfere too much with your arm, which I believe is reuse from somewhere because it does have visible pins. However, this one is hidden by the gauntlet. That's pretty sweet. It doesn't look bad, but we've gotten pinless versions of these arms since, and they must just have not been a good fit for this body. Down to the hand here, you get all of this nice detailing. And in this case, they have painted this gold, but it's sort of like a darker gold, I think, to match the plastic better, rather than make it all a little shinier. As it is, it looks a little more like mustard yellow through here. And again, this is really nicely detailed. Several colors of paint in here. You get that nice T logo peeking out with the scales underneath the chest. Underneath the back here, though, too, you do get a little bit of painted detail, even though it's just the back, and even though this is just a flat black. A little bit of a skirt here. What is here looks really good. I can't get over it, just the gold represented as mostly just a yellow paint. That's pretty weak. The legs are very nicely sculpted, all this added detail, and I believe are fully new, as they do not have pins. The paint gets a little inconsistent here and there, but it's not the worst thing, except for maybe that. And then more of the plastic casting. This is just a blue plastic. You can see the marbleization happening there. So it's a little lame when you look at it, and this is a nice metallic blue, and you feel that maybe they've toned some of those colors down so they match. Just paint the friggin' figure. We're paying more than ever now. And of course, let's not forget the peg holes on the bottoms of the feet, as well as all that extra that they have moved down here. Thank you very much. I do think he looks pretty good. I just wish the gold was shinier. And this is definitely a take on that Walt Simonson armored look from the 80s. With the beard and everything, I think this is pulling it off pretty well for the MCU. For accessories, the Odinson features his axe Stormbreaker, as a few movies ago his hammer was destroyed. As the last Thor movie, his hammer was destroyed. He also comes with an optional fist if you don't want the gripping hand on there, which is a nice touch. The axe is nicely detailed. It is just cast, though, in the plastic of the two colors that you see here, and we have seen it before. Kind of a soft handle. And of course, that fun bit of trivia, this is Groot's arm. What a guy. Alright, let's see how this meaty god of muscles articulates. So this head is on a ball joint with a hinge. And because of all this hair, it'll only come back a little bit, which, yeah, you can actually you can force that to a degree. You're going to want those flying poses, you know what I mean? Maybe. He can look down quite a bit, though. And you don't get much tilt, nothing that's going to stay. Again, just because of the hair, which I think they've tried. It's set a little bit off of the cape and all that, and I think the hair overall looks nice. So that's me defending that a little bit. It's fine. Ball jointed shoulders, so they'll come up to a T here. They will rotate all the way around. Again, this is a softer material. It gets out of the way. You get a bicep cut. You get double jointed elbows. You force that other side. You force that side. They come up a pretty good deal. Hinged wrists. They're all hinged in like this. Back like this. You have this nice new diaphragm cut. It lets you come forward this far, back this far, and it will rock side to side. The diaphragm cut replaces the waist twist, so we get none of that up under here. But you do have ball jointed thighs. They will move out if you force them. This stuff is pretty soft. Forward and back like such. It does have upper thigh cuts, of course. Double jointed pinless knees. They come up about this far with all of that armor. And the last bit is, of course, the ankles coming back this far, forward this far, and they rock side to side. Pretty standard articulation that's really not limited by any of the pieces. Alright, so the tasty Thor stands about 7 1/4 inches to the top of the helmet horn. And here he is next to the last couple of MCU Thor figures I have. Endgame and Ragnarok. The arms are not reuse from Endgame, though those are nice and pinless. Next to Sylvie and Loki. A couple other friends from the last Thor movie, Hulk and Valkyrie. Father and son. That is the nicely detailed, if a little on the short side, Anthony Hopkins as Odin figure. And the new figure swapped friend, the 2011 Avengers movie Thor. Okay, how about next to Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon? Did you find something there, little guy? From the comics and cartoon, we have the 80 Years Thor and the just reviewed, Can't Put Him Down, animated series Wolverine. Putting him next to some other toy lines, here he is with a Mattel Macho Man and a McFarlane Wonder Woman. And finally, we have the Marvel Legends, way too drab to fit in with this movie Spider-Man. Or is he? And the Marvel Legends Morning Coffee, mostly Bucky Cap Deadpool. Real quick, let's give this pimp a twist. Once again, this is the Walmart exclusive Thor from the 2011 Avengers movie. He's definitely a little dated by today's standards, but really not too shabby. Head up way too high on this ball peg. It doesn't really look like Chris Hemsworth, but neither did he back then. Cape is stuck to this torso piece here with this diaphragm cut, going this way, this way, this way, and this way. Ball jointed shoulders, it'll go all the way around. Look at all this stuff going this far back, 90 degrees up to here. Bicep cut, double jointed elbows. Wrist rotates, but there is no hinge. This predates the wrist hinges. Nothing at the waist, but you do have ball jointed legs, on this crazy thigh with an uppercut here and a double jointed leg. A lot of sculpted detail. Decent paintwork throughout here, not a bad likeness to the Avengers movie Thor. Little bit of ankle, forward, back. No rocker at this point in the game though. Peg holes on the bottoms of the feet, and you're sure to find some lettering and whatever stamped directly on the figure. Little bit of detail behind the guy. Big, sort of heavy, stiff cape. Not the worst thing out there. I didn't already have it in my collection. Just came with another Stormbreaker and somebody's hand. I don't know whose hand this is, but it's like preposterously tight also. Summing it all up here in the twilight of the review. This is the newest MCU Thor figure. I think it looks pretty solid. I do think they have put some work into it, but some questionable choices like pins on the arms and the mustard yellow paint kind of bug me. They can never quite seem to nail that Chris Hemsworth head sculpt, but with the helmet on there, seems fine. Dig the hair, the extra color, the softer cape. I don't really care that you can't remove it. I think the feel of it, there's like a certain level of quality. Accessories are real minimal, but it's Thor, so you want some kind of hammer or axe. And the optional fist is cool. An unhelmeted head would have been nice. And I do feel like this feature should have been a little more accessory packed, it being like the premier Thor. Do you know what I mean? But I understand they'd argue they probably put a lot into the aesthetic of the thing in general. Articulation-wise, there's nothing really wrong with that either. Standard Marvel Legends style, you get pretty good range. And while I love the diaphragm cut on the newer figures, there should be something else in conjunction with it. Think like the Power Rangers toys. Overall, though, I'm happy to have this thing. I wish, especially with the price increases, that it felt a little more premium. What do you guys think? You planning to pick this up? Planning to see that movie? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like on this video, and I will see you fine folks next time.